From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her.
Hello? Okay. Teachers, do we know if all 6th and 7th grade students are in? Anybody else coming? 6th grade's good. How about 7th? All right. We need to make sure that this mic is on. Hello? Perfect. First of all, thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate that you're all here. Please stand. Brush Middle School Student Council officers Aisley Kimball, Dylan Krob, and Taryn Wickham will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our national anthem will be sung by Abigail Reyes. I would like to welcome our Brush American Legion as they post the colors for us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Welcome to our 2021 Brush Middle School Veterans Day program, called Remembering 9/11, the 20-year anniversary. We are happy to welcome all military veterans as well as all first responders to this year's program. If you are a first responder, please stand and be recognized. Thank you for coming today. We would also like to welcome the Colorado Patriot Honor Guard for coming all the way to Brush to recognize our veterans today. If you are a veteran of the United States Armed Forces, please stand and be recognized. We appreciate all of you and your dedication and service to our country and community.
Today is Veterans Day, a holiday that started as a day to reflect upon the heroism of those who died in our country's service and was originally called Armistice Day, which fell on November 11th. This was the anniversary of the signing of the armistice or agreement that ended World War I at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The holiday was changed in 1954 to Veterans Day in order to account for all veterans in all wars, both living and deceased. Thank you for joining us today, either here in person or via live stream.
Now I'd like to present the Brush Middle School 8th grade band as they play Battle Hymn Epic.
Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known but to God. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a monument in Virginia at Arlington National Cemetery that is dedicated to the services of unknown soldiers from World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. Throughout our history, many soldiers have died in war with their remains being unidentified. This is a dedication to all soldiers who have died in the service of our country. Because these remains are impossible to identify, the soldiers lying in the tomb are known but to God, and they serve as a symbol for all of our country's unknown dead, wherever they fell in any of our American wars.
Today marks the 100th anniversary of the dedication of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. As we speak, ceremonies are taking place in Arlington, Virginia, to honor this symbolic memorial. In addition, President Biden is speaking at the amphitheater to commemorate this extraordinary occasion. For 100 years, this has become a memorial for family members whose soldiers have never returned home.
There are many requirements to become a Tomb Guard. First, you must be in the 3rd Regiment of the Old Guard of the United States Army, and you must volunteer. Anyone can apply, but you'll need letters of recommendations, evaluations, and a photograph. Soldiers, called sentinels, must pass multiple physical and mental tests to earn the privilege of wearing the Silver Tomb Guard identification badge.
The tomb is guarded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 365 days a year, no matter the weather conditions. There are many types of ceremonies during any given day, including wreath-laying ceremonies and the changing of the guard. The tomb guard marches exactly 21 steps down the mat behind the tomb, turns, faces east for 21 seconds, turns, and faces north for 21 seconds, then takes 21 steps down the mat and repeats the process. The number 21 symbolizes the highest military honor that can be bestowed, the 21-gun salute.
The Honor Guard Vigil. In measured steps he makes in rounds, the click of heels the only sounds. He stands erect, so straight and tall, with pride and dedication, responds to the call. With deep affection his vigil keeps over those who forever sleep. He responds not to the visitor's stare, maintaining his vigil as if in silent prayer. In the morning's twilight hours, his watch becomes like cathedral towers, reaching from earth to heaven above, a lasting tribute to one man's love. As time and seasons come and go, his vigil remains for all to know, that beneath the sacred Arlington sod lies 3 buddies known but to God. Here is a video of the 100th anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Finally, this Memorial Day, we want to take you back to Arlington National Cemetery. This morning, we saw President Biden lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier there. It's a Memorial Day tradition that dates back decades. And why does the significance of this American monument still resonate 100 years after its creation? We went to Arlington and to the tomb to find out. Thousands of headstones line the rolling hills of Arlington National Cemetery, each bearing a name, each representing the nation's military dead. On a hilltop at the center of the cemetery, a burial site housing the remains of 3 war dead, whose names are known but to God.
It's a place of sacred honor. It's really the centerpiece for Arlington Cemetery. It's the heart.
The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is 100 years old this year. Its story of honoring the sacrifice of American service members begins in the days after World War I. Cemetery historian Tim Frank guided me through history as told through this new exhibit in the cemetery's display room. It tells the story of the British and French burying their unknown soldiers. The American people wanted a soldier given the same honor at Arlington, and Congress approved.
Teams went out to 4 American military cemeteries in France with instructions to disinter 1 unknown at each of those 4 cemeteries. They were instructed to place each unknown in a specific casket and then bring them to the City Hall at Chalon-sur-Marne, France for final selection.
The honor of choosing the unknown to return to America fell to Sergeant Edward Younger, a seasoned, decorated, and twice wounded soldier.
The caskets were rearranged in the City Hall of Chalon-sur-Marne, France, and then he walked in with a spray of roses. He circled the caskets a few times and placed the roses on one of those caskets. That became the unknown soldier.
The casket boarded a ship bound for Washington, where 90,000 people came to pay their respects as the unknown lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. President Warren Harding presided over the funeral on November 11, 1921, what was then Armistice Day, marking the end of World War I 3 years before. Today, it's Veterans Day.
They dug a crypt and then they placed the flat marble over the tomb. They always intended to complete it, and so they had a design competition, and the winning design is the design that you see today, and it was placed in 1932.
It's interesting to me, though, that at one time, anyone could walk up and literally kneel in front of the tomb.
This is a place where someone could go and say, this could be my husband, my father, my brother, my son, my comrade. And really, it could have been. He could be anyone. Mm-hmm. Frank walked me through the exhibit and the turmoil the world endured. 3 more unknowns would be buried at Arlington: World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam. In 1998, Vietnam's vet, First Lieutenant Michael Blassie of the Air Force, was identified, and his remains were returned to his family. 1 year later, the empty crypt is rededicated to honor America's missing personnel in Southeast Asia, and it remains empty to this day.
One of the most storied elements at the tomb of the unknown soldier has been the 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. They are the sentinels who have stood watch over the tomb for more than 70 years. In the guard quarters near the tomb, 688 Army soldiers have studied and trained to earn the Tomb Guard Identification Badge. They prepare with exacting precision in their appearance and mission. It is a spectacle for the thousands who flock to the tomb every year to watch the changing of the guard ceremony and to pay their respects. But for the sentinels who stand watch over the tomb day and night, in the storms of summer and the snow of winter, the mission has a deep meaning. Chelsea Porterfield is one of 5 women to earn a badge and the current commander of the Guard.
It's not just a ceremony. Yes, those soldiers look really crisp and they're sharp and they practice and they put hours into it. But they're brothers, their cousins, their dads, their husbands. And they're doing it in an honorable way for those 3 that didn't get to.
That's part of the story the cemetery is telling during the tomb's centennial commemoration this year, and the major event planned for the anniversary on November 11th, to include a full military procession, much like the original funeral 100 years ago, complete with a caisson, marching units, and a flyover.
I think that recreation of the procession represents the significance and the beginning of the honors that we pay in recognition of the unknowns.
In the days leading up to that ceremony, and for the first time in the tomb's history, the public will be invited, as presidents and dignitaries have been, to lay flowers at the tomb. Why is it important to be able to create that moment for members of the general public?
I think the opportunity to lay down a flower, a wreath of any color, any type, truly represents a commemoration, an act of love, an act of honor and respect.
Wow, Aaron, and I know that you lived there, so that's not your first time. But did you feel a different weight at the Centennial?
There's so much to learn about the cemetery and about the tomb and about the soldiers who were there. It's one of those places that every time you're there, there's a sense of reverence that overwhelms you. And you want to take time to learn more every time.
And you learn more every time. Great story, Aaron.
Thank you.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks.
Finally, this memorial.
The Creed. My dedication to this sacred duty is total and wholehearted, and the responsibility bestowed on me. Never will I falter, and with dignity and perseverance, my standard will remain perfection, through the years of diligence and praise and the discomfort of the elements.
I will walk my tour in humble reverence to the best of my ability. It is he who commands the respect I protect, his bravery that made us so proud. Thus surrounded by well-meaning crowds by day, alone in the thoughtful peace of night, the soldier will in honored glory rest under my eternal vigilance. Simon, 1971.
Here are 3 students, Camden Lee, Jocelyn Middlemist, and Addison Swint, who wrote essays titled, "What is the Significance of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier to the United States and What Does it Mean to Me?"
The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is the tomb of lost soldiers who died in World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. It's an important monument that represents all soldiers that died in war. Many people visit the tomb in respect or honor to someone they knew who died in war. Many others visit the tomb because it's now a landmark and part of American culture. The tomb is celebrated, honored, and represented by Armistice Day, the day World War I was signed to an end. I really think the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is an interesting monument because of how one anonymous, unnamed soldier can represent and honor all soldiers that have fallen in war. The tomb is humbling to the idea of honoring one great person, and instead lets one person, unknown and unnamed, equally honor everyone that died in war.
Here rests in honor, glory, an American soldier known but to God. These are the words inscripted on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier holds a special kind of significance in the United States. It symbolizes the sacrifice people were willing to make to protect their freedom, their country, and their families. It shows that they were not willing to stand by and watch people be oppressed. The tomb honors those who fought for what they believed in. They fought for what was right. This tomb is a special place where our country can honor those who gave everything to protect us, to protect me. It shows that the soldiers were not only fighting to ensure their family's safety, but also to ensure that everybody in the world had a chance to live, to be free. Here rests in honor, glory, an American soldier known but to God, shows the sacrifice the soldiers have given for their country.
What is the significance of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier to the United States, and what does it mean to me? The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a tribute to all the soldiers lost in our fights for freedom and justice, a monument in memory of the souls lost and never discovered, defending the natural rights given to us by God as written by our founding fathers in the document that gave us freedom. For the people of the United States, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier could be anyone, their brothers, fathers, grandfathers, uncles, kids, or a complete stranger whose only commonality is their country. For me, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a physical representation of our country, showing that even in the darkest times and circumstances, we unite and create our own light. We come together and say, even in defeat, we make our own victory.
Thank you, Camden Lee, Jocelyn Middlemist, and Addison Schwint for your essays. Thank you, Andrew Webb, Keaton Gillick, and Taryn Wickham for honoring our country's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I would like to introduce Officer Dusty Quick of the Fort Morgan Police Department and former reconnaissance Marine. Officer Quick served 2 tours in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan. Officer Quick is a Fort Morgan High School graduate. Welcome.
Oh, it's all right. You're good. I'm short. That works out well. I apologize from the get-go. Remember, I was a Marine, and we were founded in a tavern, and we eat crayons. So bear with me as I get through this, all right? And I apologize for being a Fort Morgan graduate as well. So I know some of you guys out there. We have relinquished our rights to Fort Morgan, and we have lived here and lived close by. So our kids go to school here. Connie, I want to take a time just to thank you. I've been a part of this or been here for, I think, 5 or 6 years now, and you've been doing this, and it's amazing, and it's great. As we reflect on 20 years since, the feeble day that our country fell under attack, I can recall sitting in the lunchroom. I didn't really understand the magnitude of what was about to take place, not only in my life, but for most of you guys that served. War wasn't something that we thought was ever going to happen again. I think we kind of had made our peace with everyone, and everybody else was scared enough not to bother us. I watched the first plane hit the towers, and then it went to live feeds from there as I watched this second plane impact. And I can recall sitting in in the lunchroom, like I said, and being explained what all this meant. And I think it just carried from there. My choice, I think, was made at that point. I played sports in high school, and I was set to go play at the next level in college, but I think I knew in my heart where I was going to be for the remaining of my adult life, I guess, as I am today. You know, hearing all of the turmoil that's taken place in our country as of late, here in Brush, we still stand for the pledge, and we say it every morning. And I applaud you guys for that, and I just can't thank you enough. So I took the ability to go to college, and I went, and I lasted roughly about 15 seconds or so before I realized that was probably not where I was going to end up. I knew where I wanted to be, and being Rambo was a part of that. I didn't know what that meant, but I just liked to blow stuff up and guns, and so I followed my heart there, and I thought it was the greatest decision ever until I stepped on the yellow footprints. And 8 seconds after that, I realized that maybe I should have stayed in college. And some of you Marines will understand that. When some guy who's shorter than me, which you never see his eyeballs, attacks you from every angle, I think I was covered in spit more than I took a shower in boot camp. So, and oddly enough, at least in California, boot camp is literally a fence away from the airport that you arrive in. And I'm pretty certain they did that as a joke, just to let you know planes are coming and going, and you are not. So being in a time of war, I don't know the Marine Corps without that. And so I kind of knew my destiny at that point was probably going to be somewhere in a country that you wouldn't want to purchase land in. And so 3 months after I graduated at the School of Infantry, I guess backing up, I was selected as the Paul Eisen Award winner in the School of Infantry, which is voted upon your fellow Marines and recruits and everybody there as the person that you most likely want to go to war with. And unbeknownst to me, 6 months following that, I would do just that. We boarded a plane and went to Iraq. Haditha was a big topic at that time, and it was to the point where we had taken the dam, the beginning of the Euphrates River, and we couldn't get pretty much off the X from there. So we were tasked, my unit at the time was tasked to push through Haditha and capture back all of that land and the cities that we relinquished. So that was a thrilling time. I still have a ton of buddies who I think there's more Purple Hearts than most people get grades in a high school year given out. I want to say it was around 93% of my unit from the deployment before and the deployment I was on rated a Purple Heart. So if you know anything about the Purple Heart, those are some true warriors that we are around. So we pushed all the way through, took back all of that. I had spent most of my time going house to house and fighting in the streets of Haklania and Haditha. It was an 8-month deployment. We got off of that, came back. Within a year later, we were supposed to go on a MEU. Now, the fun thing about a MEU is you get to be on I'm sorry for all the other branches. I'll probably offend you more than once. I'm a Marine, so bear with me. We got to get on a boat or a ship or whatever. We were super excited. It was not a cruise. I can recall being in the ship, and they have what's called coffin racks, and I didn't quite understand what that meant until I slept in one, and that's the closest I want to get to knowing that I'm in a coffin. It was pretty intense. So we were lucky. Our boat, the USS Denver, went dead in the water several times. It was getting decommissioned once we were off it, so we wanted to get off it as quickly as possible. What they didn't inform us at the time when we got on it to begin with was it was going to stop back in the country that I swore I would never show back up again. And so there again, we were back in Iraq. We did a Operation Red Bull 1 and 2 that pushed from Karma and Fallujah all the way to Baghdad. We met pretty heavy resistance the entire time. I wouldn't say the mission was a failure, but they definitely held their feet in the ground from there. It was pretty standstill at that point. So we made it all the way through there. I was able to find out what my oldest daughter, she's in 8th grade this year. I found out she was a girl. I jumped a little tank in the middle of the night and made it all the way back to the FOB to find out that she was a girl, and jumped the tank, headed right back. So it was pretty interesting, and I guess I got to take time to say thank you to my wife and my kids. That's all they've known. They've grown up in a wartime. You know, we've been married all of this war, and she's kind of my rock, and my kids keep me my focus and my balance. So I've had at least the privilege of being at war, or just getting back from war, either having a kid or just having a kid through every deployment. So it was kind of a unique thing for me. We got done with that deployment, jumped on the boat, saw a few places, came back. I didn't know quite what I was going to do. I was a machine gunner at the time, and there's not a spot on resumes that's for machine gunners, I guess, that, you know, I can fill that in. So I didn't know what else to do, and someone told me once that you miss every opportunity that you don't at least try at. And so I wanted to go into the reconnaissance side of things and be a part of the special operations fields. I always thought that I wanted to jump out of planes, and then I jumped out of a plane and thought that was not a good choice by me. So all of my jumps were night jumps, whether it was daylight or not. The only thing that was between me and the sky were my eyelids, and they were closed most of the time. So I had some pretty good landings, I think. And so going through a lot of that, I can recall BRC. You know, I talked to my wife, and she's probably stronger than I am by any means, but every day that I tried to quit, and I think she was kind of worried how we're going to pay the bills. So, hey, dude, you got to stay in. And I tried to leave every single opportunity that I could through BRC. It was just not fun. I was cold, wet, and tired, and sand in places that you just unimaginable. And I still have sand in some spots today. So she was pretty good with me and said, hey, no, we got to stay in. We got to do this together. We have plans. A year after I would graduate BRC and be stationed at 1st Reconnaissance Battalion, I'd find myself getting geared up and ready to go and heading back to a new country. I liked, I guess, war so much that I figured I'd try them all out. I went to Afghanistan, and we were in a place called Sangin Valley. Sangin Valley was interesting as well. It had been relinquished since the time of war. Most people at this time had forgot that Afghanistan even existed, to be honest. Our focus was solely on Iraq. And I guess 3 weeks before I took off to Afghanistan, our middle daughter, who's a 6th grader now, Willow, she was born. So I got to see her and shake her a little bit, and then it was time to jump on a plane and head back. So it was kind of the Wild West. And if you're not familiar with Afghanistan, it's pretty great. It's got nothing in it. There's really a whole lot of nothing as far as amenities. There's no running water, no electricity where I was. It was all kind of just had been since the dawn of Afghanistan. So we went through there and pushed quite a bit of the enemy back to where they came from, and got relieved in place by 2nd Recon at the time, and came back. I think it would be a year to date from leaving Afghanistan that I would find myself getting back on a plane and heading back to Afghanistan, and not only to Afghanistan, but back to Sangin Valley. So we did some pretty heavy fighting there. I was lucky enough to get a phone call. There was a few complications with our younger son who, my wife was pregnant at the time when I had left. I'd got to fly back for 10 days. He was born a month early while I was here, and then I was slated to get back on a plane and head back to Afghanistan. So interesting times, I guess. All of my adult life has been spent either in war, because once I got out of the Marine Corps, I didn't really know what else to do. I got into law enforcement 2 weeks later and have been in law enforcement ever since in this community. So, you know, I have seen law enforcement wasn't a rough job when I got in. It certainly is not, it's not great now, but what I can say as far as our community, it's still amazing. And still serving this community as a law enforcement officer has been outstanding. And the support that we receive from not only, you know, the businesses and the administrations and everything around, but the support from the community is tenfold. I've been privileged to serve in this community with the guys that I have served with. And so I've been in law enforcement and still am, and probably will remain there, just because, again, there's no check in the box for dummies that like to jump out of planes with machine guns. So I've served as a firefighter with some of you guys for quite some time here in Brush. Our community, I feel just that's my calling in life, and that's where I have been for most of it. So I can look back at 20 years of war. I'd like to say that we're done with this war, but you know, who knows? And looking in the crowd and seeing the veterans that have served, I think that's okay. I think any one of you guys at a drop of a hat would go back and defend our country without hesitation, and I applaud you and I thank you for that. As the first responders, I remember seeing, you know, the firefighters and the EMTs and the law enforcement officers running to that building, knowing that it was coming down or that it had already fallen. To me, that's why a lot of why I serve to this day is from those people. And watching it all unfold on TV as a youngster, I didn't quite grasp, but I think after 20 years of living my adult life in either wartime or as a first responder, I get it now. And hopefully some of you guys will understand and we'll still do this in 20 years again and continue to remember those folks. I don't really know how to do this, so. Hey, there we go. I think my calling has been torturing kids for quite some time. Most of you guys have bumped into me, whether it's through my kids or through sports or through the schools or out and about, but I'm usually well received, and I think it's A, I'm the size of most kids, and B, I think they just know that I'm here to have a good time with them. So this was actually, as we were pushing through Iraq, this is my first deployment, but I don't know where I lie. So this is at BRC. This is Surf Passages. If you know anything about boats and the ocean, that's the culmination of, I guess, the crashing through the water and being cold, wet, and tired. I was fortunate enough to get to go to mountain warfare training, and if you get the opportunity, turn it down. It's extremely cold, and you get to spend lots of time in the snow. It was supposed to not snow. We woke up several times, and when someone says, "Hey, where's the machine gun?" I don't know, somebody's got some issues there. So, I mean, and this was river crossing. I'm not sure why that was part of what we did. I think it was more of torture, and that's kind of the Marine Corps way, I guess. But that was shortly after. A lot of these guys in here have met their maker and passed on, or have received Purple Hearts in the actions that they've commenced. This was Kuwait, right before a staging area. Anybody knows war, you got to go play war before you can go be a part of war, and it's got to be in a place that's 10 times hotter than the place you're going to. That was Kuwait. This was on top of the Haditha Dam, and just below where we're all staged, the floodgates opened, and that was the beginning of the Euphrates River. So interesting times there. Of course, we always have to bring a little America into the fight. This was Afghanistan, and this was a fob that we had just pulled down and relinquished back to the community there. And this is typically me. This is usually how I am. I like to have fun, and that's probably why I went into the Marine Corps. But, you know, I think being a first responder was, in part, a good way to get free ammunition and keep shooting. So that's, you know, you always got to take that into account, especially with the prices going up these days. Law enforcement allows you to still go out and shoot stuff. So this is in Afghanistan as well. We met pretty heavy resistance. I can recall my last deployment, there wasn't a day that we didn't get into a good gunfight. And I guess for the veterans in here, you guys know what I'm talking about. Any gunfight's good, but usually when you get to shoot a lot, that's you know, always good. But we met pretty heavy resistance in the part that we were at in Sangin Valley. They kind of popped up out of every hole and crevice and brought it to us, but we gave it right back. So we left a little America there as well. You'll never know who you'll run into in Afghanistan, all right? Some of you law enforcement guys know who this guy is, so good dude. So I guess I'll wrap this up with again thanking everyone for allowing me to do this and being a part of this. But thank the veterans and our first responders, man, because when I call, I want someone to answer. And in this community, I know that's the case. So keep that near and dear to your heart as we move forward with our country. But again, thank you for letting me be here and speak to you guys.
Thank you, Officer Quick, for coming to speak to us today about your service to our nation. Here is a gift showing our appreciation. Now we would like to hear from our veterans and our first responders sitting in our audience. Dylan and Taryn will bring the microphone to you. Please tell us your name, the branch of military in which you served, and where you were stationed, or what you do as a first responder. This is voluntary. Please pass the microphone if you do not wish to speak.
Hi, my name is Wayne Carlson. I actually used to teach here at Brush Middle School back when we were at the other building. My wife Carol is here too. She's a retired teacher from Central and Beaver Valley. I'm the one that started the trips back to Washington, D.C. 30 years ago that Mrs. Dreitz followed up on when I retired. But anyway, we had the honor of actually laying wreaths at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier there, so that was pretty neat. I'm actually not a veteran. I am here representing our two sons. We actually have three sons who went to and graduated from Brush High School. Our son David graduated in 1992, I believe, or 93. And he went to the Air Force Academy, graduated from there. He is active duty in the Air Force today. He's a lieutenant colonel, currently serving in the country of Germany. Our other son, Randy, graduated in 97. He also went to the Air Force Academy. From there, he pursued an advanced degree. Today, he is a PhD in astronomy and physics, and he also is a lieutenant colonel, just transferred this last year from the Air Force into the Space Force, and he is currently serving in Los Angeles, California. But I would encourage you kids sitting up there to check out, when you look to get further education, check out the Air Force Academy and also the other military academies. It's a great way to go, but thank you, Connie, and everyone else for doing this program.
I'm John Nebb. I served in the Marine Corps. I think I enlisted 65 years ago yesterday, and served 2 years active duty, mostly in Okinawa. Luckily in between two wars, the Korean War and Vietnam. And it was a great experience, and I'll never forget. Educational, and very happy to do that. This is invited by my granddaughter, Jolie Tuck, and my wife, Connie. Thank you.
My name's Alan Copman. I volunteered with Hillsborough Snyder Fire Department back in 1993. Been there ever since. I'm active retired at this point. It's a ride. It can be fun, and it can be a lot of work.
Hello, my name is John Lowe. I live in Wiggins, Colorado. I'm a Vietnam-era vet from 1970 to 74. Over the last several years, I've been honored to attend the Julesburg Veterans Day program, today the Brush one, and twice at Prairie High School. And I just want to thank everyone here that comes out to remember the vets and all that they have sacrificed over the years for your freedom to be here to educate and worship the way you like to. So again, thank you very much for all the vets and the people that help represent them.
Dennis Queen, Army, and I served in Vietnam.
I'm Mike Schreiner. I spent 6 years in the Wyoming Air National Guard from 67 to 73. I'm also a retired volunteer fireman, and I never left the United States, but I appreciate all the vets that put it forward. My dad was a tank commander with Patton through World War II and the Battle of the Bulge.
Hi, my name is Donald Tucker. I served from 1968 to 1974 in the United States Army.
Hi, I'm Dennis Risch, formerly Sergeant Risch with the United States Army, Colorado National Guard. Most of my time was with the 220th Military Police Company. I was a medic for them. Deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, and I've served, so that was 8 years of my life. And the past 8 years of my life, I've been in law enforcement with the State Patrol and now the Washington County Sheriff's Office.
Hi, I'm Gary Likely. I served in the Army from March 62 to March 64. Most of my service was in Germany. And I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Justin Ferguson. I too went to this school before it was this school, when it was a couple hundred feet that way. Yeah, I graduated in 98 with my GED, went into the Army, spent 7.5 years as a tanker, got out as a staff sergeant, and yeah, glad that this is happening because it wasn't here when we were kids.
Name's Howard Curtis. I served with the 128th Assault Helicopter Company in Vietnam. This will be the 50 years. September I got back from there. I was happy to be back. Anyhow, I'm here representing my grandson, Dylan. I got a step-grandson. He's going back to Baghdad. He seems to like it, so I wish he'd get a few more brains, but anyhow, thank you much.
I'm Rufus Johnson. I served in the Air Force from 78 to 82 and the Colorado Air National Guard up till 96. If you can serve your country, I think it's well worth it.
Hello, Jerry Perez Sr., served with 23rd Infantry in Vietnam, Analog, from 70 to 72.
Hi, I'm Matt Rocha, U.S. Army National Guard. I served from 2010 to 2016. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go to Iraq or Afghanistan, but I was able to go to Jordan and help the Jordanians train. They're right in the middle of the stuff, but they're our close ally over there. Help keep them safe.
My name is Paul Acosta. I served in the United States Air Force, Operation Desert Shield Storm back in the 90s. I'm a third generation soldier. My great-grandfather served in World War I. My father served in the 1950s and 60s, and then I took over. And I'm proud to say that my son Austin, who's here, is also a member of the Armed Services, past member, and my son Corey, who served as well, and he couldn't be here today, but he is now a state trooper for the Colorado State Patrol. I'm also an active retired member for the Brush Volunteer Fire Department. I've been on the department for over 28 years, and I carried the rank up to the point of being the chief of the department back in 2010. So thank you to all my brothers that were on the fire service. Dusty, you're an incredible man, and I appreciate everything you do. Connie, thank you so much for everything.
I'm Darrell Armstrong. I served in the Marine Corps from 1967 to 71. I served in Vietnam and would do it again.
My name is Hunter Knudsen. I served with active duty in the Army from 2018 to 2021. I got out in February. I was stationed in 183rd Support Maintenance Company down in Fort Carson. Thank you.
Officer Jared Barham with Brush Police Department. I did not serve in the military. Lots of family that served. Thank you to all of our veterans, to those that have served our country. Thank you to my brothers in blue that I go out to work with every day. Officer Quick, thank you for everything you do. Thanks for speaking today. And God bless the USA.
Good morning. Connie, thank you for putting this together. My name is Dave Martin. I'm your elected county sheriff. I've been with the sheriff's office for 36 years. Retired Brush Fire Department after 24 years and Morgan County Ambulance Service as well. I did not serve. My father did. 3 tours in Vietnam, and he was the logistics coordinator for the Santai raid when they went back to rescue POWs.
Jesus Ramirez. I'm a deputy with the Morgan County Sheriff's Office. Been there for about 3 years now. I did not serve in the military, but I'd like to thank all the heroes that are here that did serve.
I'm Deputy Matt Ryan. I was fortunate enough, I was born in Vietnam in '73. My father was an American GI in the Army. Mother was a Vietnamese national. I was fortunate enough to get out in baby lift operation of 1975. Grew up in St. Louis. When I turned 18, I thought it would be best to get back to my country, was joining the Air Force. I served in the Air Force from 1991 to 2012, where I retired out of Buckley. Met my wife up here in Fort Morgan. Now I work for the Morgan County Sheriff's Office for the last little over 4 years. Thank you for putting us on. Steve Larson, Army, spent 22 years.
I'm Chet McCoy. I served with the U.S. Army in Korea, 1952 to 54. Thank you, Connie, for the invite, too.
Hi, I'm Wayne Herbert. In 1973, I went to my brother, who served 2 years in Nam, and told him I was going to join the Army. And he said, I will beat you to a pulp. You're going to join the Air Force, you're going to get warm food, dry bed, and when they stick a gun in your hand, you're going to show them that they don't want to do that twice. I served the whole time working on B-52 bombers. Thank you.
Bob Pennington. I went in the last day of 1966 in the Army. Went to Vietnam in 68 and 69. 31st Combat Engineers. Wonderful experience. And came home safe. But thank you for Connie and Susan. God bless all of you.
My name is Monty Torres, and I've been in the Colorado Army National Guard and the U.S. Army for 33 years, and deployments to Iraq and Kuwait and Qatar. And going to remind Dusty, we have not one but 2 positions open for police officers in Brush, Colorado. So I'll be watching for your resume coming in. Anyways, I enjoyed all the time with the military. Got 1 more year left. I've got 3 daughters, and I'm trying to encourage all 3 of them to join the military as well. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Dan Scalisi. I served in the Army from 1968 to 70, and I served in Vietnam for 13 months. Thank you.
Patrick Stover, served 2 years in the Army from 71 to 73. Combat engineer, engineer battalion. I love blowing stuff up. It's a lot of fun. But I spent my 2 years in Germany, and I enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you.
Marvin Kimball, I served during the Korean War, and that's been a long time ago, but it seems like things haven't straightened out a bit.
Hi, I'm Brian McCullough. I served from 74 to 82. I was with the Army, 101st Airborne. Thank you very much.
I'm Y.J. Scott, and I served in the Air Force between 1954, 58. I was an aerial photographer, and I was the one who helped map the world. So,
I am Marvon Hazelton. I'm preacher for the Church of Christ here in Brush. I was in the Navy from 62 to 68, or I don't know where I'm at, to 66. Feel a little guilty. I was a dry land sailor, joined the Navy to see the world, and I saw Kingsville, Texas. But I appreciate so much the men and women who have given so much for this free country, and I hope that we'll continue to fight for it. We may have a fight not so much physical lately as standing up for our rights.
Storekeeper First Class Melody Christensen, United States Navy, 4 years active duty, 7 years reserve. I served in Sigonella, Sicily, and Norfolk, Virginia. And my current mission is I am the coordinator of Veteran Suicide Awareness and Prevention. It's a group that we started here a couple of years ago, and we try to help veterans find resources for mental health issues that they've served, PTSD or whatever. So please contact me if you need our assistance. Thank you.
John Weisgerber served in the U.S. Air Force from 1971 to 1974. Went from there into the Army National Guard, went from a law enforcement specialist in the Air Force to a tank commander in the Army. Appreciate it. Anybody gets a chance when you get out of high school, join the military.
I'm E.W. Thomas, currently residing north of Akron. I served in the United States Navy from 1960 to 1964, and spent a lot of time forgetting all about my military service and all the sacrifices that was made for our freedoms until the last several years. I joined the Patriot Guard, whose mission now is to stand in honor when we are invited by the family to stand flag line for veterans and first responders for their funeral services. And I really appreciate today being invited to stand the flag line out here in honor of all you veterans that have showed up for this program. We appreciate that. We are out there in our flag line. Our ranks is kind of slim out here in northeastern Colorado. And we had several students volunteer to fill our ranks today. And I would like to recognize them and tell you how much we appreciate them being with us today. And thank you for inviting us again.
My name is Jesus Herrera. I served in the United States Marine Corps. I was stationed in 29 Palms, California, and I served with 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines, Weapons Company, 81 millimeter mortar platoon.
I'm Specialist Gerald. I was also on the Brush Volunteer Fire Department for 3 years, and then I joined the Army. And I got in at the age of 34, which was just the cutoff at the age of 35 in the Army. Never been deployed yet, but hoping one day I might get the chance. So to you guys, thank you for putting this on, and it's never too late until it is too late, because every branch has their own cutoff. And don't put it off till the last minute like I did, even though I tried several times. But study hard and keep pushing at it, and you will succeed eventually. Thank you, guys.
My name is Brian Gray. I was stationed on Fort Bragg for 3 years, and then I came home. I joined the Colorado Army National Guard, and I did 12 years there as a mechanic and a water purification specialist.
Thank you for your service.
I'm Ron Klug. I was in the 1st Armor Cav in Vietnam. Thank you.
I'm Mitch Cox. I started working EMS here in '99, where I worked side by side with Mr. Acosta. Pushed me to be better. Now I'm a paramedic lieutenant up in Frederick Firestone, where I get the honor of chasing forest fires throughout the summer.
I'm Dan Musgrave. I served in the U.S. Army in Vietnam in the Signal Corps of 69 to 70.
Thank you all for your service. Please, everyone, let's show our veterans our gratitude for serving our country. The band will now play the Armed Forces Medley.
Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day? Were you in the yard with your wife and children, or working on some stage in LA? Did you stand there in shock at the sight of that black smoke rising against that blue sky? Did you shout out in anger and fear for your neighbor, or did you just sit down and cry? Did you weep for the children, they lost their loved ones? Pray for the ones you don't know. Did you rejoice for the people who walked out from rubble and sob for the ones left below? Did you burst out with pride for the red, white, and blue, and the heroes who died just doing what they do? They look up in heaven for some kind of answer, and you look at yourself and what really matters. I'm just a singer of simple songs, I'm not a real political man. I watched CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference of Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love. Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day? Teaching the class full of innocent children, or driving down some cold interstate? Did you feel guilty 'cause you're a survivor in a crowded room? Did you feel alone? Did you call up your mother and tell her you love her? Did you dust off that Bible right home? Did you open your eyes and hope it never happened? Close your eyes and not go to sleep. Did you notice that sunset for the first time in ages and speak to some stranger on the street? Did you lay down at night and think of tomorrow? Go out and buy you a gun? Did you turn off that violent old movie you're watching and turn on all of Lucy reruns? Did you go to a church and hold hands with some strangers, stand in line and give your own blood? Did you just stay home and cling tight to your family? Thank God you had somebody to love. I'm just a singer of simple songs, I'm not a real political man. I watched CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference of Iraq from Iran. And I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us. The greatest is love. I'm just a singer of simple songs, I'm not a real political man. I watched CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference of Iraq from Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us. The greatest is love, and the greatest is love, and the greatest is love. Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day?
exchanges at the World Trade Center.
There was a loud crashing sound, and then there was a pause for about a split second, and then there was like a scream or two, and then everyone just ran. Everybody. There was mass chaos.
The smoke, the black smoke and fire.
Hijacked, and there are indications that it may have been a Boeing 767 out of Boston.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen, and businesswomen, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat, but they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has moved a great nation. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful, and it's prepared. Our emergency teams are working in New York City and Washington, D.C. to help with local rescue efforts. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite and resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
At 8:45 a.m. on a clear Tuesday morning, an American Airlines Boeing 767, loaded with 20,000 gallons of jet fuel, crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. 18 minutes after the first plane hit, a second Boeing 767, Flight 175, appeared out of the sky, turned sharply toward the World Trade Center, and sliced into the South Tower near the 60th floor. The collision caused a massive explosion that showered burning debris over surrounding buildings and onto the streets below. It immediately became clear that America was under attack. Less than 15 minutes after the terrorists struck the Twin Towers, the South World Trade Center building collapsed. At 10:30 a.m., the North building collapsed.
As millions watched the events unfolding in New York, American Airlines Flight 77 circled downtown Washington, D.C. before crashing into the west side of the Pentagon, which is the U.S. military headquarters at 9:45 a.m. Jet fuel from the Boeing 757 caused a devastating inferno that led to the structural collapse of a portion of the giant concrete building. 125 military personnel and civilians were killed in the Pentagon, and 64 people on board the airliner were also killed. In all, 189 people died.
A fourth California-bound plane, Flight 93, was hijacked about 40 minutes after leaving Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. Because the plane had been delayed on taking off, passengers on board learned of events in New York and Washington, D.C. Knowing that the aircraft was not returning to an airport as the hijackers claimed, a group of passengers and flight attendants planned an insurrection to take over the plane. They were able to bring down the plane in a field near the town of Shanksville in southern Pennsylvania. 44 people died.
Hundreds of first responders set out on all three sites to try to rescue anyone in the debris or rubble. Emergency medical technicians, paramedics, ambulance drivers, firemen, and any other responders began arriving to try to save those injured and rescue anyone trapped. As many tried to rescue survivors, they were injured or killed during this time.
The search and rescue effort in the immediate aftermath at the World Trade Center involved ironworkers, structural engineers, heavy machinery operators, asbestos workers, carpenters, electricians, machinists, plumbers, pipe fitters, sheet metal workers, truckers, teamsters, American Red Cross volunteers, and many, many others. Everyone was united in each of the three crash sites to recover and restore our country.
The 9/11 attacks had an immediate and negative effect on the U.S. economy. Many Wall Street institutions, including the New York Stock Exchange, were evacuated during the attacks. On the first day of trading after the attacks, the market fell 7.1%, or 684 points. New York City lost 143,000 jobs a month and $42.8 billion in wages in the first 3 months.
The heaviest losses were in finance and air transportation, which accounted for 60% of lost jobs. Estimated cost of the World Trade Center damage was $60 billion. The cost to clean the debris from ground zero was $750 million.
All of these things can be replaced. The biggest cost to the United States was all the people lost that day to terrorists who attacked our country and who have died since then due to cancer and other illnesses they have gotten from working at Ground Zero. This flag was purchased at the 9/11 Memorial Museum in New York City and has every person's name on it who died during 9/11 from all three sites: the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and Flight 93. It will stay here for the remainder of the program to remind us of all the people we lost that day.
In the wake of security fears raised by 9/11, the Homeland Security Act of 2002 created the Department of Homeland Security. It was signed by President George W. Bush on November 25, 2002. Today, this department is responsible for preventing terror attacks, border security, immigrations and customs, and disaster relief and prevention.
attacks on the World Trade Center, 3 firefighters raised an American flag over the rubble. Morale was boosted on September 14, 2001, when President George W. Bush paid a visit to Ground Zero, when he addressed them and thanked them. More than 91,000 rescue, recovery, and cleanup workers and volunteers, including virtually all of the New York City Fire Department, were exposed to the environmental hazards on Ground Zero during their work on the pilot, and the days and months after that followed.
Eight months and 19 days after the Twin Towers collapse, recovery efforts ended. Pentagon officials set an ambitious goal that workers would reoccupy the severely damaged areas exactly a year following the attack. They beat this deadline by nearly a month.
Regarding Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the FBI was in charge of the investigation. More than 1,000 persons representing over 70 state, federal, and local agencies helped the crash crater was backfilled between October 1st and 3rd of 2001.
A debt of gratitude goes out to all the people who helped and never gave up after 9/11. Our country and our community thanks every one of them. We also want to take this time to again thank all of our local first responders who are always there in our time of need.
Shortly after the terrorist attacks on 9/11, President Bush and Congress signed into law a joint resolution authorizing the use of force against those responsible for attacking the United States on 9/11. Word had it that it was Osama bin Laden, al-Qaeda leader, and militant operational terrorist group.
On October 7, 2001, the U.S. military, with British support, began a bombing campaign against Taliban forces, officially launching Operation Enduring Freedom.
On March 20th, 2003, the invasion, Operation Iraqi Freedom, began with a shock and awe campaign of aerial bombardment intended as a show of force. President Bush and Congress were wanting Iraq to prove they did not have weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein, leader of Iraq, would not cooperate. Saddam Hussein was found on December 13, 2003, and captured and eventually sentenced to death. Combat operations in Iraq ended on April 30, 2009. Since the wars in Afghanistan in 2001 and Iraq in 2003, over 1.9 million military personnel have been deployed and 3 million tours of duty.
We want to thank all of you for serving in our nation's armed forces and for your hard work and sacrifices you made to keep us safe from terrorism.
To Armed Forces of Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom, as well as all first responders, here is George W. Bush, 20 years later on September 11, 2021, as he thanks you all for all you have done for our country.
As a nation, our adjustments are profound. Many Americans struggle to understand why an enemy would hate us with such zeal. After 9/11, millions of brave Americans stepped forward and volunteered to serve in the armed forces. The military actions taken over the last 20 years to pursue dangers and their sources have led to debate. But one thing is certain: we owe an assurance to all who have fought our nation's most recent battles. Let me speak directly to veterans and people in uniform. The cause you pursued at the call of duty is the most noblest America has to offer. You have shielded your fellow citizens from danger, and you have defended the beliefs of your country. You advanced the rights of the downtrodden. You have been the ace of hope and mercy in dark places. You have been a force for good in the world. Nothing that has followed, nothing can tarnish this honor and diminish your accomplishments. To you and the honored dead, our country is forever grateful.
Something positive did come out of these tragic events. After the 9/11 attacks, our country experienced a united feeling of patriotism and pride. As we began to mourn, America began to commemorate the victims and demonstrate their patriotism. American flags could be seen everywhere, from front porches to car antennas. Others pinned flags to their lapels and wore patriotic T-shirts. The New York Times said, "We all agree that we've got to be together, no matter what happens."
Yes, it is important to remember all the people who died during the 9/11 attacks, all first responders, all military, and anyone who helped our country recover. We owe you all a debt of gratitude for your service to our country.
To all veterans of the United States who have served their country in both wartime and peacetime, since we became a nation in 1776, without you and your sacrifices, we would not be able to live in our beautiful, prosperous, and free country.
To conclude, 9/11 was a day we will never forget. We will always remember the bravery and service of everyone in our country who worked together to help our country recover. From the veterans to the first responders, thank you all for serving. We would like to bring out our groups for our grand finale. The Twin Towers. Pentagon. Flight 93. Rescue. Recovery. The cost. Freedom. Honor. Perseverance. Patriotism. Never forget a 9/11 memorial flag. President George W. Bush. The United States Armed Forces. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. Please, everyone, stand for Amazing Grace. Followed by taps by Larkin Queen and Miss Schaefer in honor of all fallen veterans, God Bless America, will follow. Please feel free to sing along.
First of all, I'd like to thank our 8th graders. They did an amazing job. Yeah. We worked them pretty hard this week, but they did a great job. They nailed it. Next, I wanted to thank Officer Quick and for coming and sharing your experience for us. It was awesome. Next, to Ms. Schaefer and the band, we appreciate that you're always ready and that you play for us. You guys did a great job. Mr. Clara, that was an amazing for your song for us. Also to our administrators who continue to support the program and let us do this with the students every year. If you didn't believe in it, we wouldn't be able to do this, so thank you. And to the committee for helping. Ms. Costanzo, she's amazing on all of the lights and the technology. And then finally to the veterans, first responders who serve our nation and community. We appreciate all of you and all your sacrifices. Thank you, American Legion. Thank you, Patriot Honor Guard. And I wanted to say one quick thing. If you get a chance to go back east and see any of the memorials, as in the Twin Towers, as in the Pentagon Memorial, there's one outside, there's one inside, or Flight 93. We just went this last summer. Go to them. They have put together amazing museums in honor of everybody. So thank you all for coming again. There's a brunch out in the cafeteria for any veterans, first responders, and students. If you brought a veteran or a first responder, you can join them. And then we'll start, as soon as all these vets clear out, we'll have 6th and 7th grade leave and go back to class, okay? Thank you again. Bye-bye.